Hey guys, Grusky here. Twilight sent me this video. He wanted some feedback on what is actually a pretty good game. The thing he wanted to focus on is how he could maybe get more consistent results like this, which I think is really good. And, as I've said before, watching your own replays, just taking advice, and generally wanting to do things better is always a good thing, and happy to do that. And first thing I noticed right away, which is a very good notice, is he is using premium consumables. I think we've all had this chat in the Adopt Discord many times, but they really do help. You can actually ditch the speed boost consumable and probably be quite fine. It's not one I'd say you need, but in a destroyer, well, any ship needs premium damage control party, and destroyers especially need premium smoke. In fact, pretty much any ship that has the ability to smoke should be using premium smoke. And right here, you're waiting for that emerald to run forward. You were following it with the predictive torp trajectory. I don't think he's moved up that far. Likely he'll just stay there, but maybe you'll get lucky and land some torps. So right here though is a huge don't. And it's pretty easy to not realize what you're doing. You see some targets, you got some planes flying around you.
Massive storm moving in.
What you're doing is you're sitting broadside in smoke from what appears to be an emerald and a Gaja. Gaja can't torp you, so you really don't have much to worry about there. However, the emerald can launch some torps. I forget, it's been a long time since I played the emerald, and I actually forget the torp range, but it's quite possible to be torped by the emerald right now. And you also do have an Akatsuki possibly behind you. Could have went into sea, but I highly doubt that. Looks like your planes are over there, would be close to spotting it, and also would possibly be Captain C. There it goes, it's popped up now. Still, not a really good practice. You want to position yourself a little bit better to get out of there if needed. And you do have torps up right now, but it's a good thing you're waiting to not just shoot them. You don't want to just fire torps blindly all the time. You can use them for area denial like you did earlier to really good effect, but you're right to hold off until you actually have a good target. And actually I could even say you probably should have held your fire there. The Gaja slowing down to smoke up obviously indicates, it's going to be smoking up. You're not going to have spot on it unless you have like a friendly radar ship with you that you can trust to actually use your radar. And you kind of got lucky that they didn't really focus you down, but you firing there would just make your, bloom effect where you fire and you're spotted for 30 seconds after re-engage, and sometimes you actually use that as a trick, get somebody to fire at me, and then I smoke up, and they either A, have to smoke up, or if I know they've used their smoke recently, I know they can't smoke, and I know then that means they'll be spotted by possibly a teammate close by, and I know I can shoot at them for a few more seconds. And right there was actually a terrible time to launch torpedoes. All those planes are right above you and don't automatically spot them. I guess maybe they're not that close. Generally, if there's planes flying above, I try not to hold it. But nice torps on the Gaja. Gaja seemed to probably make that same mistake of sitting in smoke broadside to a potential enemy target. So, again, you kind of got lucky there, but I still think you should have sent torps to just make a move out of there. Whether they did or not is their choice, and he chose poorly. There's that Akatsuki. And I see a lot of people in U.S. destroyers or any, decent gunboat that, is pretty good at going and fighting in. And, a lot of people I'd see right now would be rushing at that Akatsuki, which, if that emerald keeps going far away, is not a bad idea. But if that emerald helps, you could be in some danger. Even if the King George fires a couple of salvos at you, you could be in danger. The Akatsuki, he should win in a fight, but he could still take a decent chunk of your health. Not saying you shouldn't engage them and run away, but choose that engagement carefully. Right now it actually looks like your team's down, in chips and in points. So, you know, bold plays like that can either make or break the game, and sometimes actually puts it quite up to luck. See right here, you're taking a decent chunk of health, even though you're winning, and you should win this unless you take some torps. The only other one thing I say that I like to do in, again, shooting torps at an enemy, it really depends on what your enemy's skill level is, and you obviously don't always know that right away. I try to keep them somewhat grouped together, and again, this is good or bad. This is, I guess, just more of a personal preference. You had chose to shoot them out in sort of two different directions, predicting where they might go. I like to kind of just make them shoot together, that way they're in a big sort of wall, which makes them a bit harder to dodge. Maybe even have that wall overlap each other a little bit. It's not always a bad idea. And the one thing I do love about the Mahan is the 3 torpedo launchers. It's actually quite effective. A lot of people forget that you have that center line torp and one on the other side, and if you can do a quick turnaround, you can fire, 3 torp salvos. Ooh, long range, widespread torps. Generally, I find them not worth it. And I know best case scenario, just because the enemy is not too bright and or just you kind of get lucky. So I generally almost never fire widespread torps. There are a few occasions where you actually want to do it close in, so your torpedoes will spread out. If they're close enough that the widespread will actually hit like most of the hull of the ship, and you can kind of prevent some damage saturation there. And you're actually right to be using AP. I think it can be quite effective, especially on a lightly armored broadside cruiser. But he is a bit far away that maybe HE would be okay, and he's starting to angle. Definitely if you get close in, you could rack up some citadels, so good call on using AP overall. But definitely not a fight I don't know if you'd want to engage. The Koenig is there to be able to back you up. However, it doesn't look like Koenig has a shot on the Emerald at all. The Emerald, despite its reputation for being easy to kill, is great at hurting DDs in a one-on-one fight, especially kind of close in. Unless you can get some torps off, it was a strict gun battle. The Emerald can generally do some good damage as long as they're again a decent player, but you always have to assume they are. I think you definitely are on the right track to trying to hunt the Emerald down. Especially since you have that Koenig with you. Just getting him out of the game, if you guys just ditched him, you could, potentially kill your Saipan, because your Saipan seems to be moving that way. If he's just left unchecked, he can go and cap A, and then you guys have to worry about capping it again, and you guys are down on points, even though you now have the number of caps, the cap advantage. So you guys will gain those back, but it doesn't mean you just want to give up anything. And there's that destroyer AP close in. Ooh, it's deadly. Everybody should kind of take that as a note. Destroyer AP, especially like broadside cruisers, can do well. I guess it depends on the size of your guns on the destroyer, but even occasionally if you're really close in against battleships, you can do more damage than HE would. HE tends to shatter a lot, not that AP wouldn't, but HE's really just kind of there for setting fires. See, this is where it's actually really good to have that premium speed boost. Even kind of far away, there's a cyclone. You need to go kill that Emerald. I agree with that, but it also did put you far out of the fight, and you need to try to get to B to start capping. And looks like they're still fighting over D, so you going there could actually make a good impact. So it's good that you have that almost on cooldown now. Wonder if that Mutsu is still there. That'd be a nice torpedo target. And this is also kind of having to do with something I was talking about earlier this week in the Adopt Discord, is your XP is gained off of how much percentage of damage you do. I know, Twilight, you know this, but anybody else watching, if you do, say a destroyer's total health is 20,000, and you do 20,000 damage to that destroyer and sink it, you get the same XP bonus as you would for doing 100,000 damage to a battleship, for example. It's definitely beneficial to shoot destroyers, as it's easier to do, 50% of their damage with, a couple of salvos. Or a battleship, you could, be sitting there shooting at them for 5 minutes and only do half their health. So definitely, not only is it good strategically for your team to shoot after destroyers, it also is definitely good for you. You earn more XP, and I believe credits is factors into that as well. So there's no reason to not shoot a destroyer that is out in the open. You always want to focus them down first. And this is also one of the many reasons why you will always hear me complaining about why I hate cyclones. You've spent like a minute or two here doing absolutely nothing, moving along, not able to spot anything until now. It just makes everything boring. And also, I'm surprised I didn't notice this immediately, but are you not running Concealment Expert, or is the concealment on this destroyer a lot worse than I remember? Seems like, what is your detection, 9? No, it wasn't 9. Seems like your detection was a lot more than I remember. Again, it's been a long time since I played the Mahan. Scared off that Gneisenau. Got 2 torps on him. Wow, I thought best case you'd get 1, so he must have turned the wrong way. There you go, your CV is helping you out there. Looks like the Mutsu sent some torps at you. So, from the looks of it, you have a choice here. You can go finish off that Gneisenau, which you should probably... I don't know why you're not looking at him. You should be shooting your guns at him, just to help your Koenig. Your Koenig should win that fight, but you never know. RNG can always come down to a factor. Gneisenau could get torps off of him if the Gneisenau gets too close. Actually, no, the Grafspee looks like he's headed towards C, so I was going to say the Grafspee might be heading down the middle there, and that's going to be a problem for you soon, but never mind. Oh, now, well, maybe the Grafspee turned around. Oh, the Grafspee died. And then you're going to have a Texas coming at you after this. So yeah, your Koenig did die. It's a good thing you did stick around. However, you're in a kind of a bad spot. One salvo from him will finish off. There it is. But your torps should get him. I guess the one thing you could have done better to stick around more would have been to retreat with that Koenig right there. I think it's definitely, you made the right choice though. That would have just been another option. You needed to get out that Koenig, you needed to get out the Gneisenau. Is definitely worth it. It looks like your Queen Elizabeth is either AFK or, I don't know, had disconnected or having some problems. Maybe, I mean, I hate Cyclones as much as the next person, but I've never just sat out a game. Anyways, good game. Thanks for watching. Just some minor things you could improve there. Have a good one, guys.